The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello and welcome to Weighted Donuts. I'm Wayne Unger, and today's guest is former catcher Mike Heath. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Wayne. Thanks for having me on your show today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Your name popped up somewhere, and I said, okay, I got to track this guy down. He'd be a great guest for the show. So I'm gonna start your first season in the major leagues. You were on a World Series team, and you were on a World Series team with some pretty notable players. Tell me, what was that experience like for you, particularly how you reflect on it later on, thinking like, wow, I was a rookie and I got, my first year major leagues with Reggie Jackson, Thurman, Munson, Goose Gossage. Tell me about that.
Well, it was very exciting. I mean, you get the phone call from AA that you're going to be called up, and I thought I was going to get called up to AAA, and I thought they were going to take Jerry Narron, but I told Bob Zai, which was the general manager of West Haven Yankees at the time, I didn't want to go to AAA. He goes, no. He says, you're going to the big leagues. So that was quite joyful at 12:30 at night whenever we got the phone call. But walking into the stadium at Yankee Stadium, then walking into the clubhouse and seeing, all the names and all the players in there, it was just, for being a 23-year-old kid, it was just a very, very exciting moment in my life that, as a kid, ever since 8 years old, wanted to play in the big leagues and finally made it.
Now, I'm just curious. Do you happen to know why they didn't call up Jerry Narron instead of you?
Yeah, I have no clue. I really don't. I think that possibly they wanted to see what I could do, I guess. And I guess whenever I got to fill in for 2 weeks and all that, I did halfway decent, I guess. But to answer that question, I really don't know why.
Okay. I'm just curious. And a follow-up to that statement, how come you didn't want to go from AA to AAA at that time?
Well, it's simply because it was all the way across the country. AAA was in Tacoma, Washington at the time, and I didn't want to pack up and go over there. And then at that same time, if Jerry came back down, then I'd be platooning with Jerry. I was the everyday catcher in West Haven in '78, and that way, because I had just moved to a catcher in '76. And because I was drafted as a shortstop and I was getting my playing time, so-called field time, unlearning the position.
Right. Okay. And, recently and sadly, it was the anniversary of Thurman Munson's passing. What can you tell us about him?
Well, I remember that day. I was in Oakland. I think we had a day off that day, and it came over the television. They passed away, and of course, I cried at the time and everything, and it was very difficult because he basically taught me a lot. Him and Elston Howard both taught me a lot about catching when I was on the big leagues. Those two guys would talk to me all the time. Thurman, taught me how to block the plate, and he showed me how to do things and gave me a couple little tips on what to do. Elston Howard did the same thing. When I was sitting on the bench, Elston would sit and talk with me, and he gave me a lot of information. So watching Thurman play, well, a guy that was beat up, banged up, and he went out there. He even went out there with stitches in his hand in the World Series that I don't think a lot of people knew about. But he had like 13 stitches in his throwing hand. So, it showed you how mentally strong this guy is, and nothing really bothered him, and it was just phenomenal watching him play.
Yeah, and the clubhouse. How was the clubhouse? Most people remember the Reggie Jackson Sports Illustrated article, but a lot of people are not aware of the fact that Thurman and Reggie became friends, and Diane Munson said that actually like the week before, and I think this was actually even noted in Marty Appel's book in an article recently, but I heard Diane Munson say a few years ago, she said they were friends. She said Reggie actually flew with Thurman a week before the crash. What was so? But a year later, Cliff Long and Goose Gossage got into it, and Goose ended up on the DL, and Cliff ended up traded. What was the atmosphere in that Yankee clubhouse in '78?
Well, I think those guys knew that they had the best team in baseball, and we weren't gelling. But I never forget, we had a meeting and about the team in general, and everybody was speaking up and this, that, and the other, all the superstars on the team, and I think Lou Piniella said this. It's almost a quote, and they asked Lou, it says, what do you think, Lou? And Lou was like, you know what, guys, if we're having a meeting amongst us to see what's wrong, we must be really screwed up. We got the best team in baseball. Now let's go out and play like it. But the clubhouse, every clubhouse has a little turmoil here and there. But Lou was right. We were the best team in baseball, and we proved it by coming back from 16 and a half games out in July or August, whatever, to force a one-game playoff with Boston, and Bucky Dent hitting a 2 or 3 run homer to win the game off of Mike Torres. So, and then we went on and beat the Dodgers in the World Series. So we had the best team in baseball, and we just gelled at the right time.
Right. By the way, you mentioned Elston Howard. Now, I don't know if you know this or if you looked at our group on Facebook, but do you know the show is named after Elston Howard?
I did not know that.
He invented the batting donut.
Right. I did not know that.
Yeah, and I was a huge Elston Howard fan. So, the fact that you mentioned his name and have something to tell us about him, warm.
Yeah, Elston. Yeah, Elston. Like I said, he paid attention to me. He talked to me about game situations. He talked to me about, you got to be tough around home plate because you're a small catcher, and there are a lot of conversations, and I really remember our conversations that he and I had about catching, and I give him a lot of credit.
Because you were a smaller catcher, do you think that's why Rich and Lansford came into you so hard back to back?
Well, the story about that of it is that, it was always told, I had scholarships to play football too. Alabama, Florida State and all that, Tennessee. I was always told that you have to control your emotions. And I was emotional guy when I played. And you have to control your emotions to get to the big leagues. So I got to I control my emotions. I got to the big leagues. And when that play with Bobby Gritch came at home plate, and, it was kind of like cheat shot me, tried to knock the ball out, but it didn't bother me, I remember Billy Martin came out to the mound and changed pitchers. He took Sparky out of the game, put Goose in, and Billy was all over me about, hey, look, they're trying to intimidate you and run you out of this game for being a small catcher. You got to stick up for yourself here. If that ever happens again, you get up and take care of yourself and show them that you mean business. How funny is that? The very next play, Carney legitimately hit me. I had the ball, and that's what I'm supposed to do. And he did his job. I did my job, and I just stuck up for myself.
I'm glad you clarified that because, I like to do a little bit of research. I don't dig for everything. I just like to dig into some things, to ask you about. And when I saw it, like I said, wow, like, I mean, I was thinking to myself, if I was going to go after anybody, I would have went after Gritch. That to me was a cheap shot. And the play with Lansford was a bang play. So now that, but of course, after you explain that, it all makes sense.
Yeah, when you're a rookie, you kind of just don't know really what to do at that point. But, to raise a little controversy on blocking the plate, I think it's a stupid rule that's out there, just my opinion. The rule has always been you can't block the plate without the ball. And a catcher, it's a technique on how to block the plate. And I don't think there's a lot of catchers out there that technically know how to block the plate or set up the runner where he needs him to slide. So we all have taken our hits and our licks at home plate. And I just think it's, kind of a little BS thing, as far as, you can't truck the catcher. Well, why can't I can truck you just as much as you can truck me.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was, you know what? I mean, if you remember, it's kind of nicknamed the Buster Posey rule. And
well, I watched that play, and he definitely did not know how to block the plate. He was on one knee, and the ball went by him, and then the runner hit him. The runner had every right in the world to do what he did. Buster Posey just didn't know how to block the plate.
Right. I mean, and bottom line is, it was a huge star. Getting injured in a play, it was a knee-jerk reaction, just like the way they changed the slide rule after the playoffs when Chase Utley slid in 2016. It was, like a lot of things that have changed these days in all of society.
Yeah. Well, I just think, the ball had beat the runner there. Posey was on one knee. I don't know why he was on one knee, and the ball went by him, and the guy hit him. So the runner had every right in the world to run him over. To be honest with you.
No, I'm not arguing. I just,
I'm just trying to reinvert it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, well, after the Yankees, you went to the Rangers, and what was your time in Texas like for you?
Well, my time there was kind of shortened because Jim Sundberg was the catcher there, and I caught pretty much a lot of spring training games. And I remember last 2 weeks of the spring training. Jimmy comes to me and he goes, "Hey, look," he says, "You're done. You did a great job. Now it's my turn to take over." And it's true. So whenever I went in, Eddie Robinson, which was the GM at the time, said, "Well, you made the team. Congratulations." I said, "Well, Eddie, I don't want to make this team and sit on the bench. I just started catching. I need to go down to AAA to get some playing time. I need more playing time than to sit on the bench." He said, "Is that what you want to do?" And I said, "Yes, I do. I want to go to AAA." It was Tucson, Arizona. Tucson Toros is what we were called. And he says, "Okay." So he signed the slip for me to go down. I said, "Well, you know what? You just used my last option." And that meant that he already had sent me down. For me to come up to Texas, I'd have to go through waivers, and there was no way I was going to go through waivers. So that's how I got traded over to Oakland after several months in AAA with Texas.
So was that like a little paperwork mistake on his part?
I would probably think so.
Okay. No, I was just curious. So, and then you bounced to Oakland, but you ended up and then to the Cardinals. But then you finally, were able to put down some roots with the Tigers, and again, you latched on with another great team. You know what?
Well, I think
and actually, you guys went to the World Series, I believe. Or no, you went to the playoffs that year.
well, when you look at Oakland, I was in Oakland from 79 to 85. And then I got traded to the Cardinals a little bit, and then I got traded over to Detroit. I was in Detroit from 86 to 90. So I spent most of my career in Oakland.
Right.
And we went to
I had a little brain cloud there, but you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, because 81, I'll never forget, I was in Oakland and I saw Billy in 80, Billy Martin, and I went up to him and said, "Hey, Billy, I just want to, tell you that, I really enjoyed playing for you and about this and that, and you taught me a lot." And I said, and he looked at me and he says, "You're going to be playing for me sooner than what you think." Well, the next year he became, that was in 79 and 80, he became 81, I think it was, he became our manager in Oakland, and we went to the playoffs, and beat, Kansas City, and then we lost to the Yankees and American League title. So Billy already knew he was coming to Oakland.
So if you had to make a choice, where you look back on your career, if you were able to, can you say where your best time was? Was it in Detroit or was it in Oakland?
Well, I've been asked that before. Probably my heart lies in Detroit, but my soul lies in Oakland, because that's where we were a bunch of young guys proving our worth in the big leagues playing together, and we'd love to be in Oakland A's. And we were a bunch of young guys. So then whenever I went to Detroit, there was also a lot of history there, and I was a veteran at that point, playing with a lot of veterans. So I love that ball club. Those are the two teams or organizations I love playing for. I love the Yankees, but I was only there a short period of time. But Oakland and Detroit were my two favorites.
And what do you remember about Rickey Henderson?
Oh, Rickey's a great guy. He went about his business. He got on that field every day and played hard, and Rickey was he was a good teammate, a very good teammate. Rickey didn't say much, man. He went out there and did his thing, man, and he was awesome, And everybody asks me about, as a catcher, how do you try to throw Rickey out? Well, I always looked at it as I gave myself, as a catcher, probably one pitch in the account to throw him out. If he didn't run on that pitch, then I knew that I had to concentrate on the hitter more and couldn't worry about Rickey stealing the bag, because Rickey was going to steal it anyhow. So I would concentrate, all right, one pitch, I would think that's where I could get him on, but I didn't want to worry about Rickey so much that I serve up a cookie right to the next hitter, and next thing you know, you're 2 runs down by a home run.
Right. No, I get it. And even still, and even with that pitch, the odds were probably not great in throwing him out anyway.
I agree. There was one guy that I saw that threw him out quite a bit, and it was Bob Boone. Bob Boone had quick release and put the ball in the money. But yeah, So you couldn't worry about Rickey. You just worry about him one pitch, and after that, you got to concentrate on the hitter.
And now you told me you don't follow baseball very much today, and there was a little article a few years back, and you feel as though today's game is a little different, and does it turn you off a little bit?
I know guys that are still kind of out there coaching and all that, and I think it's part of the times. I think it's TV, wanting to get as much reaction out of the guys, and try to make get a reaction out of them, always smiling, always having a good time and all that, because, it's $1 billion business now. And I still think the players of the attitude of the players are probably still that, man, they love this game more than anything. But I think the showmanship is getting a little bit more for the fans and the dollar than when in my era when I played and stuff like that. There wasn't too many guys that showed out,
Right. Well, and lots of those guys would get a message if they did anyway. When they were at the plate.
Right.
So now, from what you see of today's game, I mean, what do you think of the all or nothing approach?
Can you explain that a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, everything like today, it's all or nothing. Like it's home runs. Always swing for the fences. Strikeouts. Strikeouts are acceptable. It's if you hit 35 home runs, it's okay. If you strike out, 180 times. I believe there is, I forgot what the number was, but there's more.
Well, on that aspect is that, the ballparks are designed for more offense in the game because, the stands are a little closer and the balls that are popped up get out. Okay. They're not caught. So it gives the hitter an extra advantage. The gaps are down a little bit, size wise, so more run production. But I think if you strike out a lot, in our era, it was like, okay, so he's going to hit 35, 40 home runs and drive in 130 RBIs. But he struck out like 180 times. Well, who cares? He's still got that run production. But today, I think that they really are upset about the strikeouts. They believe that, okay, if you cut down your strikeouts, you'll do more. But, I don't know. I don't know. I just think that, fans don't want to go see a Randy Jones and a Tommy John hook up and throw an hour and 45-minute game and it'd be 1-0 or 2-1. They don't want to see that. They want to see the home runs. They want to see the guys, show off a little bit.
No, it's true. I mean, most people are like that. They don't appreciate it. I mean, to me as a baseball fan, you should appreciate however a game evolves. Of course, no one wants to see a blowout, but if a game keeps you on the edge of your seat, whether it's a 1-0 game or an 8-7 game, then
yeah, it's like going to the movies. You want to watch a thriller or do you want to watch a comedy?
Exactly. Well, I'll take a good comedy any day, so that's okay with me. But now another play that has like almost virtually disappeared these days is the bunt. And you played for Billy, and Billy played Billy ball. What do you think of the bunt itself in the game as because like guys like Earl Weaver for one, he had total disdain for the bunt, and a lot of other managers do, but you had a guy like Billy Martin, Whitey Herzog, they embraced the small ball. What's your feeling on it?
I think there's still a heck of a lot of room for that because, it puts your defense, on a different level where they have to make plays. But I think, a guy that bunts and a guy that, hits a ground ball to the other side, he can't make no money that way in today's game. In my era, he might have been a good fit for the clubhouse that, hey, he always got the bunt down. He'd always hit behind the runner. You got a guy at second base. You got no outs, and he gives himself up to get him at third, I don't think that game's played that much today because the players can't make money by doing that. Where a player in my era, if he did that thing and could play defense, he was golden.
Right. And what about the defensive shifts? What do you think about the defensive shifts? where
Well,
where they're playing one guy on the left side of the infield and moving, and, particularly against lefties, and moving moving the extra infielder to the right side of the infield.
Well, I really don't care one way or the other on that one, but I think they're going to stop that. I think that's the next thing that they're going to try to stop is those shifts. But on a serious note, you're going to take Jim Thome, let's say, just got elected in the Hall of Fame, and they put a shift on him. You think he's going to change his swing? I don't think so. So those guys that are big power hitters are not going to change their swings because they're there to pound the ball. And they want to change these guys. All right, so they got a big shift over. Why don't you just stay inside this ball and hit a ground ball to third base side, Jim Thome? Jim Thome, I think you're crazy.
Absolutely. And so you still live like around the Tampa area. Do you follow the Rays?
I do not at this point.
Okay, I'm just curious. And what do you do? Are you retired, or are you, do you have another career today?
Yes, I'm retired, and I do train some kids in baseball wise, and like the sports that I watch, I really don't watch much football. I don't watch much baseball. I'd rather watch a little baseball than football. But I'm more of a NASCAR fan. I love watching NASCAR. That's the only one that I will sit and watch on Sundays or Saturdays.
Great. And, okay, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Not really. I was just one of the, Alan Trammell brought it up to me the other day when I went to the Hall of Fame and watched Jack Morris and Alan Trammell get elected into the Hall of Fame, and I was at the dinner that Saturday night. And Tram brought up something, I think, for every young kid that's out there. My quote, Tram brought it back up to me. Alan Trammell brought it back up to me. He says, Spike, I'll never forget, your quote of the year was, I'm just an average player trying to be great. He said that has always stuck for me when you said that. So I think I want to tell the kids out there, yeah, you can be an average player, but you got to keep battling it to try to be great. All of us can't be great in this game, but there's nothing wrong with an average player with the thinking that he's going to make himself better each day. And
you know what? And that applies to life overall. And I like that. I'm going to have to share that with some people and pass it on. I like that very much. So
there's another thing too. I would like for some of the young kids that are listening out there, no matter who it is, you could be disappointed in your performance, but never get discouraged, because discouragement can really bring a person down. When you get discouraged in life, it's not good. But being disappointed in your performance or your things will make you make adjustments and make you change. But discouragement is not a good place to be.
I like that. That's good. So, maybe, who knows? Maybe one day you'll be pulled back into coaching. It certainly sounds as though you'd be a positive influence for sure.
I'm 63, man. I'm too old. I'm old school.
You know what? You're the same age as me. Except I'll be 64 in a few months, but so different years. But right now we got the same number. And
you got it.
Yeah, I'm old school in many ways. Some ways I've adapted, but I tell you what, I feel great, and and I love life and I embrace life. So that's all you need. That's all you need. Mike,
yes, sir.
Thanks again for coming on. And
well, wait.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, Wayne, I appreciate you having me, man. I really do.
Okay, great. Thanks again, and you have a good day.
Okay, Wayne. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And bye-bye. Okay, folks, that was Mike Heath. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time.